I'm Candace Hollingsworth, one of the national co-chairs for Our Black Party. I am joining you, or at least saying hello to you, from Hyattsville, Maryland. It is actually election day in Hyattsville. We have our local elections for mayor and council today, so I've been at the polls, so you have to forgive me for looking a little flushed because it's been a long day. This is one time I'm not on the ballot, but I am supporting candidate. You can see Kevin Ward. The purpose of these conversations, and I don't know if you've gotten a chance to, sorry, my dog is being crazy. If you've gotten a chance to um, pay attention to any of the other ones, these are conversations where we're getting a chance to introduce our state directors for the 7 states that we have appointed state directors. This evening, we are introducing you to Shaundra Young Scott, who is the state director for South Carolina, and she'll get an opportunity to share more about who she is, what she's doing in South Carolina, the work she's interested in doing for Our Black Party, and sharing her vision for Black South Carolinians. Is that the way you say it? Miss ATU, if you know, maybe you can tell me. That's what you guys call yourselves. Let's see. All right. Here she is. So she is joining us now, and apologies for the wait. There she is.
Hey, sorry.
No apologies necessary. All right, there we go.
Yes, it's
Shaundra,
Tuesday.
it's great to see you, and I'm so excited to talk to you and hear more about you. I gave a good preamble, doing the whole song and dance routine before you got on. So just be great to hear from you, who you are, what you care about, and just let folks get a chance to get to know Shaundra Young Scott.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here on this live, and tell everybody about all the great work we plan to do, and just a little bit about myself. I'm Shaundra. I am from South Carolina. I'm from Charleston. So everybody that is from the Chuck, from the Low Country, is Geechee. That's all of the things I'm excited about. I grew up here. Both parents are from Johns Island. So for anybody also that's from here that knows about that, definitely representing the islands. And I am here working. I've always been working here in South Carolina. I'm an attorney. And I've also worked a lot with, I worked as the executive director for American Civil Liberties Union here in South Carolina, and worked in politics as well. So really, really excited, especially to merge all of that together, to have someone that's actually from the state, that cares about what's going on in the state and can speak to the real issues that's going on is really my passion.
And what you just said is so important, because some people are probably like, why are y'all doing state directors? I thought this was a national organization. It is. However, when it comes to, passing policies or proposing policies that are going to affect the quality of life for Black folks across this country, that means getting to know the things that people in communities care about. And what better way than having someone who is local, who understands not just, the issues, but they understand the political climate. They know who community leaders are. They know who's setting the tables when we're not. And so it's great to have people who, not only have the passion and, the personal interest in doing this, but you got a thick resume too. Where you can talk about. So what is it about Our Black Party and state directors, or why did you want to work with Our Black Party in doing this amazing, but also really big, really exciting, and really challenging work?
I think one of the main reasons I wanted to get involved with Our Black Party is just because of being involved in the last election cycle. Prior to the last election cycle, I had never directly worked with a political campaign or done anything of that nature. My work as far as the ACLU was pretty much watching legislation to see if there was a legislation that was going to adversely affect anyone that was going to be a victim of any kind of movement that was infringing on their civil rights, or whether to support something that was positive involving civil rights. So that was like my introduction into politics. When I was an attorney, or when I was in law school and we were learning how to be an attorney, I remember saying to myself, I don't understand who writes these laws. Like, how are attorneys supposed to even work and defend anybody? You know, these laws are crap. You know, I would love to be the person that actually writes the laws. And I said that very flippant, you know, way back then, with no idea of or intention of actually getting into politics. And so, in working with our now Madam Vice President on her presidential campaign here in South Carolina, and um, seeing how that whole race played out when we had um, Kamala Harris, and we had Cory Booker, and we had um, Castro. We had so many people of color, and then it kind of whittled all the way down to just the same types of folks that we always see, white men running. And then we started having the conversation as far as what is our Black agenda, and holding these politicians to telling us what is the Black agenda, what is your Black agenda, versus us having our own agenda and saying, this is what we need to see, this is what we want. And so for me, and seeing our Black Party, I got excited because I was like, for once, perhaps we can be able to have our own agenda and say, if you do not meet these criteria, then maybe we need to seek another candidate that will. So that was my intent behind that. And if, you know, we continue to support the Democratic Party and things of that nature, we need to make sure that what we need is being enforced and brought to the forefront.
I love what you said. You know, where you had kind of like that moment where you're like, I want to be the person who writing these policies. Because, you know, being in elected office myself, I have, but at the same time have had the benefit of policy school and policy training. The majority of people who are writing laws are not trained in how to draft policy. They're not trained in understanding, you know, how something as simple as a comma or the word and can make a huge difference in what it can actually do or achieve or not. And the other thing you said that was important, that you said there was something, you know, of course, the things you fight against, but then there are things that you fight for, like the stuff that's positive, the things that you want to support. And so I would love to hear from you, like, what are the things that you want to see Black South Carolinians fighting for in South Carolina?
I definitely, there's so many things, but I definitely would like for us to continue just fighting for involvement. I know that's a huge one for me. There's so much construction happening and building up. I know all of the people that's probably in the Low Country can attest to that. All of these areas where it was, the only way it wasn't cool, you know, for, you know, tourists and things of that nature to be in. So, you know, Black folks was out there. Now they're building all up around us and, you know, kind of getting us out of our area. You know, there's heirs property that we've had in our family for years that's getting taken away. So I need some acknowledgement and then some recognition of that, to make sure that our families are protected, things that real estate, the things that give us equity to be able to compete in some way, shape, or form, even though we already started behind the eight ball. So that's a big one for me. Also making sure that we are represented in a real way, not just we have one Black senator or one senator of color, one congressman of color, that we try to expand that, and we need to expand that. And it's all people of color. It's Black, there's Hispanic, there are a lot. And so it shouldn't be that we have one person since X, Y, and Z, and also representing amongst gender as well. I know here in Charleston County, the sheriff's office here is the first woman sheriff here in Charleston ever in the state. So South Carolina just needs to be more progressive, period, in those areas, but so many more.
Mm-hmm. Are there any issues that are rising to the surface right now, things that, you know, folks definitely need to be paying attention to, as in, hey, look, we don't need this to happen. That
Right.
folks need to kind of look out, whether it's on a state level or in local and municipal elections or councils.
I think we need to be paying attention, first of all, everything voting. We need to make sure that we keep our eye on voting. We need to make sure that we are looking at voter suppression. I believe there are over 250 voter suppression bills that have been introduced nationwide, and South Carolina exception. And so we see what's going on in the Floridas and Texas and things of that nature. We need to keep our eye on that because that's something that's being passed through. And what I see is, I don't feel that our community gets the information that we need to know that those things are happening. We don't really know when the legislative session is in session. We don't know when those committee meetings are being held. We can go and give testimony. So one of the things that I would like to do is bring education in regards to that, talk about testimony writing. So that's something, to me, the voting needs to be at the forefront, redistricting needs to be at the forefront. All of those things will filter down into our local elections and the way that we do things. Also, governor's race is going to be huge. I know we have some folks that have thrown their hat in the ring. So definitely want to look at all of the things that you can think of, the things that we fight for, ending mass incarceration, school to prison pipeline. All of those things come into play in these midterm elections when we're talking about a governor, when we're talking about a solicitor, when we're talking about an attorney general, when we're speaking about a coroner. Who's going to go in if something were to happen and that person is the person that says this is the cause of death? How do we know that they're taking into account everything and being fair and impartial? So all of these things are extremely important.
Wow, you brought it all the way down, because usually when we talk about races being, like, we'll say, oh, race is important as the governor, even down to the school board. Sis said the coroner. I don't think that seat has ever come up in conversations. But what you said is so important. My cousin was a coroner in Tupelo, Mississippi, and it wasn't until he, I think, yeah, it was an elected position. And I was like, really? That's a right, like, that's a race that people run for. But it's so important, especially when people are, we talk about physicians, not being willing to recognize folks' pain. So you can
Mm-hmm.
imagine that folks are not able to recognize or willing to recognize the realities around people's deaths.
Right.
And so that is just as important as everything else. I really appreciate you for elevating that in the conversation, because we forget about those other types of races and positions too.
Mm-hmm.
So as we're talking about positions, and our Black Party, one of the things we are making efforts that we need to make to have ballot status, and that means being very engaged in electoral politics and watching races and deciding who should get, an endorsement, who we should be pushing, telling the community to unite behind. Right now, when you look at the state of play in South Carolina, what we need to be paying attention to?
We need to be paying
Who
attention
need to go?
to Tim Scott. Tim Scott needs to go. Like I think he's served his purpose. He's been in that position for a really long time, and I'm not going to just get on his case because Lindsey Graham can go right along with him. I mean, we just have I have a really and I really can't, and I wonder a lot if this is the case in other states, because I've only been here. I've only represented here. We have a really bad habit of having folks in office for probably the duration of my life. I don't understand. These people keep getting elected over and over and over and over again. I mean, just in mentioning, like I said, the sheriff here, the sheriff before her was the sheriff in Charleston County for 32 years.
Mm.
It's mind blowing, that we don't have, first of all, have someone that we can put up that could actually run, that can put forth our ideas and the goals that we want to see in the community. But then when somebody does try to run, there's all this networking and back behind the situation. So I would say all, but there are some really good folks, but definitely like our governor. We definitely, Lindsey Graham, I think we was trying to get him out last year. We need to keep pushing that train. We just need to and I would love to see some younger people, some folks that can interject some energy and a different perspective on what's going on, and actually have a feel for what's needed in the streets.
Yeah. Gypsy Girl has a really good question here, and it's co-signed a little bit by a couple of folks. And I want to get your opinion on it. She says, but isn't there a foundational issue? Putting Black folks in charge of white supremacist institutions doesn't change the system. Doesn't the whole system need to be dismantled?
I think that there needs to be, definitely have to look into that. We definitely have to change that, because a lot of the things, we've had conversations about how the system as a whole has been built on white supremacy. It's been built on some racist ideals, and we have to change that in order to, change, have the outcome that we want to see. Sometimes we have to go all the way back down. We keep putting a band-aid over it instead of actually changing the foundation. So I do agree with that. I do agree with a lot of those ideas, and that we have to really do the work. And I know that, it's not going to be overnight. And I think we have to remember that this is a marathon and not a race. And I know some folks, we may be tired of hearing that. We may be saying or feeling like it's been 400 years. However, bless you. However, this is the first time, in my opinion, that we really had the actual resources at our hands. We really have folks in position that are of color in these spaces that are able to push forth real change. Like, it's at a point where they cannot ignore us, and they cannot continue to make moves without us. So that's how I feel in regards to making things change. So I agree 100% with changing the foundation.
Yeah. So what are you looking forward to doing most? You talked about a number of things. What can folks look forward to hearing from Shaundra in South Carolina for Our Black Party?
For me, initially, the education and just us coming together. I want us to get to a point where we can feel like we can come together and it's real. Not that somebody's coming in and promising us a pipe dream. They sell us all of these ideals and they tell us, oh, we're going to come together and we're going to do X, Y, and Z, and then they disappear. Or we never hear anything from it, or it doesn't move. I'm interested in seeing results. Yes, it's a marathon, but I need there to be, checks and balances and, moving things forward as we're doing things. So I'm looking forward most right now just at bringing everybody together, because it's something to be said to be in, in lock and step with folks of like mind, and really feeling that good feeling of we're really going to, make a difference, and we're really going to push this thing forward. I had the pleasure of feeling that in working with a group, Win with Black Women. I'd never been around that many professional Black women ever. And it was just a great feeling to see, like, okay, sister, you doing it. Okay, you over here being a doctor. You over here doing X, Y, and Z. It was like, okay, all right, things are getting ready to really, really happen. So that's what I hope that we can bring together. That's what I feel from Our Black Party.
Look, I want to be in South Carolina. But you're right, though, because a large part of what we are trying to accomplish sometimes comes down to, or at least I tell folks all the time, what we are doing or attempting to do with Our Black Party is something that I think has such tremendous potential and can really be a difference maker in our communities. And I think the biggest hurdle is not, oh, are we going to raise enough money to support enough candidates? Not, are we going to be able to field enough candidates? The biggest hurdle is getting people to believe that what we want is possible.
I agree.
And that we can be united in some way. And I think that people are so eager to defy the perception that all Black people are alike. That we are so eager to say that we're not monolithic, that we devalue the role that being on one accord means. You can be on one accord and not agree on every single thing.
Exactly.
Right? And when we move on one accord, that is that energy that you're talking about, where everybody's in the same space and we are together and we are united in a vision of what we want. And we are so committed to that vision and bringing it to life that we are willing to do the challenging work of being humans together, to work through our disagreements to come to something that everybody can benefit from, not just because some external party has decided that they want us to be together, but because we have decided that we want to be together and that we want to be on one accord to lift everybody up. And I think that is the thing. What you're talking about is the magic of the state, the state work, the local work is why it's so important. And I'm really excited that you have taken that mantle and it's like, you know what? Hey, I want to do this.
Yeah.
That's not,
I mean, it's just so important. It's so important because, I know sometimes, we can, feel defeated and feel like, I mean, what is the point? But if we don't do it, then who will? You know, we're just going to be sitting back on the sidelines over and over again, watching everything, you know, move forward. And you know, I just want us to truly step into our greatness, and we have to do it together.
Mm-hmm.
There we each one of us brings a different piece to this puzzle, and there's, you know, I would definitely want to make sure that we put, you know, ego to the side. No one person is right. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
everything. I will need everybody to give me ideas, and for us to put this plan together that represents all of us, you know, to make sure that what we really want is representative. I know sometimes I've heard many people say, um, this agenda was put forward, you know, agenda over here. And then it's always like, well, who did they talk to? I mean, did they talk to me? And I thought about that. I see that there's something in the chat that says, what about Ice Cube's contract with Black America? I wonder, did he speak to anybody in Black America? I mean, because I didn't hear of anyone that was really, really happy with everything that he had to say. Not saying that we have to be happy, but I think we just need to make sure that we are inclusive, and that no, and we remember that no one person is right. Everyone has a different experience. Everyone has a different need. The best thing that we can do is try to handle, you know, reach as many of those as possible, and as broadly as possible, and then go back in once we get those, go back in and then pare it down. But we need to have that community buy-in from everyone.
Mm-hmm. So, what communities in South Carolina are you, you know, thinking of focusing your work initially? Because, you know, we know folks are spread out everywhere, but, you know, what areas can people start to look to see more activity?
I think, of course, definitely in the Low Country. So definitely Charleston, our Tri-County area, Charleston, Berkeley, Dorchester. There are some folks that I can reach out to that are in Greenville. I have a good people in Greenville that are wanting to be more progressive, in regards to making sure that we are addressing our communities of color. And so it'll be that Charleston area, probably Columbia and Greenville, those areas. We'll definitely want to make sure that once we solidify in each, you know, regional area, because that's like Low Country, middle of the state, and upstate, then we'll start branching out into a lot of those smaller counties as well. And you know, anyone that wants to assist and volunteer some time, 10 to 15 hours a month. If you're in a lot of the smaller counties and you want to see folks out in Sumter, I saw in the chat, and other places, Horry County, folks out there in the PD, Greenwood, then let me know, and then we can talk and get together and come up with a plan to reach your county too.
Great. So, I want to leave everyone with a couple of things. One, you have gotten to know Shaundra a little bit better, but you're going to get to know her even more as she starts to do her work. But on our website, if you are watching, or if you share this with anyone who is in South Carolina that you feel needs to be connected to the work that we're doing there, and the work that Shaundra is trying to build, definitely tell them to go to our website, www.ourblackparty.org. You click on the link to join us, and there's one important thing. Please make sure you put in your zip code so that we can make sure that we match folks with their states. So you get information about your state from your state director, and also stay in touch with Our Black Party nationally. And if you want to connect with Shaundra, Shaundra, can I share your email address? Is that
Of
okay?
course.
Please email her at Shaundra, SHAUNDRA, at ourblackparty.org. Shaundra, is there anything, and of course you see her handle on Instagram, you can definitely follow her there. Is there anything that you want to leave folks with? Any parting words, any inspiring message, or anything else for folks?
I think the main thing I want to leave with everybody is that we have to start with ourselves. You know, we have to, and I know you guys have heard this before, we have to be the change that we want to see. It's not going to be easy. We're going to have folks trying to knock us down left, right, and sideways, but we have to keep going, and we have to keep pushing, and we have to do it together. And so I'm very big on us doing things together, togetherness, making sure that we uplift one another. And then through that, we'll be able to make the change that we want to see. And definitely, we have to keep the momentum going, and we will not cower down, and we will keep pushing forward. So I just wanted to give everyone just kind of what, and that applies to everything that y'all are doing, not just, you know, politics in our Black Party, just in life in general. We have so much going on.
Mm-hmm.
I know every time we turn on the news, there's something else happening. So I definitely am big on also being careful with your self-care, you know, and, you know, just keeping your spirits up and doing what you need to do. And if helping and assisting our Black Party and making sure that we make change where we need to do is something that helps you with self-care, then I'm here for you.
Great. Thank you, Shaundra. Thanks for taking time out of your evening to talk with us. And thank everyone who sat in on this conversation. Please continue, to share and drop any parting thoughts in the comments and continue to be connected with our Black Party. We are so excited to have you guys in our circle. And we're looking forward to doing some really great work with you. Have a good night.
Thank you.